Rob and Slim Show, we're back with author Christopher Minori.
Hey, how's it going again?
It's good.
It's been a little bit.
It's been a few years, Christopher. I think it was like 2 years when we had you on last, correct?
Yeah. It feels like just yesterday you guys got those restraining orders on me. So I think it makes the time
They work
go by a
themselves
little
out, I
faster.
feel. I feel at least. I don't know. I never pay attention to them when I get them, so.
It's terrible, right? Again, I apologize. I don't know where those watermelons came from. I don't know, and I think things got out of hand.
They did. But it's been a minute. You have a new book, though, Christopher, right? Stealing Destiny?
I do. Yeah, it's new. It follows the series that I've done about this demon who gets banished to Earth from hell, and then each book Satan kind of tasks him with something to do, and it's it's a comedy and obviously a little bit of fantasy, but really what it is, kind of like mystery or detective novels, I think.
Yeah. I love it. I love the picture on the cover. It's God and Satan arm wrestling. I love that. I love the
Isn't that great?
The prologue where it's World War II in Germany, and it's
Right.
it's Hitler realizing like he's not the chosen one, pretty much. It's crazy. Like he
Right.
thought he was doing the right thing,
Right.
but then he realizes he must not be, because otherwise the bad shit wouldn't be happening. So
Right, definitely. A lot of this is based in not truth necessarily, but kind of truth, in that this weapon. I don't think I've given anything away. This weapon that everybody winds up talking about is the Spear of Destiny, right? I don't know if you might have played the video game. I did, but Spear of Destiny is supposed to be this real thing, right? Jesus was hanging on the cross, and this Roman soldier, Longinus, was waiting for him to die, and so he stabbed him with his spear to see if he was dead, and he got Christ's blood on this spear, and so it became this, the greatest weapon ever created. Any army who has it couldn't lose, right?
yes.
And so it was rumored during World War II that Hitler had found the Spear of Destiny, and that's why things went pretty good for him at the start. But then the thought is that he lost it, and anybody who loses it winds up dying, right, or
Yes.
losing completely.
Or everything. Yeah, loses
So
everything.
yeah, that's why it starts with that section.
Yes. That's awesome. And who is the main character in the book?
So the main character is this demon named Sam, and he a couple books back he got framed for, he was a courier, right, a soul courier, and somebody's going to hell, he'd go and collect their soul and bring it to hell, and he got framed for stealing souls from heaven. And so he got banished to Earth, and all his powers were stripped of him, and he can't turn back to looking like a demon. He just looks human. And each one of these books is kind of like a mystery of, and a little bit of a continuation. They're not direct sequels, I'd say, but they,
Okay.
at the end of each one, it kind of leads into the next one.
So from Little Idiots, this
they're
is
fun.
like a continuation almost?
That's right. So Little Idiots, which was the book before this, in that one, Sam actually winds up getting this cult together, right? They try to they try to materialize them, and they wind up having to work for him, and so it starts to build kind of some of the characters that wind up kind of becoming part of his gang, right? His best friend is a demon as well, and he's got this young girl who he's training to be a witch, and so all of them wind up, this IT guy who I love, his name's Quinn, and he's like the IT guy and so nerdy and everything. It's stupid. It's probably because it's kind of like me, right?
I was going to say, I heard you're an IT guy, correct?
I am. I work with network security for a company with obviously poor hiring practices.
How do you find time though? I mean, you've done the Texas Chainsaw musical, and it was successful.
That's
You've
right.
written books. How do you have
Yeah.
time, having a career in IT, to do those cool creative projects?
I just well, I only I only work about 2 hours a day, and the rest of the time my boss is paying me to write these. But no, that's not true. I hopefully he doesn't listen.
That's how my
But
show works. I come up
you
with a
know,
lot of shit at
you
work.
just find. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just say you sometimes like ideas strike you when you're at work, and you got to write them down, or you're gonna lose them. You got to go with it. Like, so
Right.
yeah, I do get that.
I do most of my actual writing. I do in the shower. I do in the car when I'm driving. Or I do it away from sitting there typing. And ideas fly through, and I start getting scenes and putting them together, and maybe even creating some dialogue in my head. And then when I go to sit down, it just kind of flows out of me, because I've already written it, and now I'm just kind of transcribing it. And so, maybe that's why I'm able to do some of that while, I got a regular life going on too, and a family, and all of that. But, on the flip side, I'm only doing like one book every 2 years, right? I know some people manage to do more than that.
That's still a lot, though. Like, I feel like, maybe a book a year is a lot, I feel, but a book every 2 years, that's still not bad.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good if you consider that every time I finish a book, I go to the next one, I get an idea, I write the first chapter, and then I spend the next year, playing Minecraft, right? Just not doing anything on it. And then all of a sudden, it's just like when it's time, suddenly I know, it's time, I got to sit down and write this. And, you can't force it. It's the nice thing about, writing for yourself, self-publishing is.
Yes.
I'm not under pressure from anyone. I'm not forced to get them drafts. I don't have to turn this into a business, right? I still get to enjoy writing, which that's the best part. I mean, it's nice being published, but the best part is writing and creating. So
yeah, and doing it on your own terms and telling your own story. I do love that. Also, I was gonna ask. I figure you probably have everybody in the world coming to you to fix their computers and shit. Like every family member, every acquaintance. Like, goddamn, this Windows 2001 is not working, Chris.
Oh, I do. And, a lot of the old people in my family are still alive, right? They're all hanging on. And so, that's the worst, man. You try to, your dad or your aunt or somebody comes up, your mom is like, hey, this, I can't get Windows to work. It won't play with this Windows game. And you're like, it's an iPad, Dad. How many times I got to tell you that? So, yeah, everybody comes to me. They want to know, hey, can you, the nice thing is now I just have to give advice. We got rid of pretty much everything, so I don't have any equipment. Nobody brings their stuff to me to fix it anymore. And that's nice. I don't really mind. I mean, I'm bullshitting, right? I don't mind helping them. I'm saying in case they listen in.
I've talked to I guess you would call it like a professional repairman, like a guy that repairs like the freezers when they go down at a retail store, right? And he said that whenever anyone in his family, he doesn't care who they are, when they ask him to repair something, he fucking charges them. He says, you never do anything for free.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how close you are with them, you don't do it for free.
That's nice. I'm going to assume he's not Italian. My family is Italian, and man, nobody pours guilt on like Italians.
No.
Right? So, I can't even imagine asking for a sandwich while I'm fixing somebody's system. They just shoot me bad looks the rest of the day. That might be the talk of Christmas, right? Here, Chris.
Oh,
he
Chris.
charged.
He charged us.
He obviously wasn't Italian.
That Italian guilt, it runs deep. As a writer, Chris, who are some of your favorite writers?
Oh, let's see. I love Clive Barker, right? Very, man, he's a very free writer. He did Books of Blood, Hellraiser. Everybody knows Hellraiser. And he just writes these incredible, he's a great short story artist, which is really hard to do, to write short stories. And he does these crazy horror and then puts this incredible sex into it, sex scenes, and and well, not sex scenes, but just makes it very sexual. I mean, he's just an amazing writer. So he's a big one. Dean Koontz, I really like his Odd Thomas stuff.
Yeah, they're good.
Odd Thomas, that stuff's great.
Yeah.
Really great. And then another big one I like is Gregory McDonald. He writes the Fletch books. You guys all know Fletch from Chevy Chase, but it was a huge series of books.
Oh, wow. I never knew that.
What's that?
I never knew that it was a book series.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're great. They're really great. Man, I've been reading those since I was young, right? It's just got a real flippant way of talking, and I think I'm somewhat, my stuff, maybe the dialogue is somewhat reminiscent of that. And then Robert Asprin, right? And he writes these, he's kind of like the Douglas Adams of fantasy books, right? Just writes really, he doesn't anymore, I think he's dead, but good stuff, Michael Crichton. I read a lot of stuff, stuff that's interesting, right? Stuff that really kind of, love horror. I love when there's comedy mixed in stuff. I don't really read straight comedy too much because nobody really writes it good anymore, right? They're just putting down their act and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I got into that, but for me to say that I read a lot, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, you saying you like comedy and stuff when it's mixed into things, I feel like is what you were getting at. And you mentioned Clive Barker, and that's one of the things I love about Clive Barker is that a lot of his stories genre bend a little. Like he calls himself a horror author, but you get things that are very like science fiction-y. You might get a little comedy here and there, and fantasy with like Lord of Illusions with the magic. And I think he did another one that was like a quilt that was very fantasy-like. Like that's yeah.
Yeah, no, he definitely was, and he, I mean, he just, God, if you've ever read Weave World, and it's a huge, I love gigantic novels, right, like that, and The Stand, and just these huge tales that go on forever, and so, he wrote this one, Weave World, about this entire world that lived in this carpet, and then the carpet kind of explodes, and then it's, a battle between us, Earth, or humans, and these people from the Weave, and just, man, the way he writes is just incredible. It really is. And he doesn't hold back. That's what I really like. That he does not hold back, man. He's going to write or say anything, and you got to respect that.
And then he's multi-talented in the sense where he's wrote screenplays that he didn't write books about. Like this is just like an original work for the screen only, and I like that too.
Yeah, and he he directed Hellraiser, which is a great. I mean, man, first thing out of the gate, right? He directs Hellraiser. I mean, that's incredible feat. And he's also an amazing painter. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his artwork, but he's a really great painter.
That's cool. Just you mentioning The Stand, I just love Stephen King's writing. I don't know. I feel like he just writes like a regular person would talk, kind of like. And he could just ramble on, and I'm like, this is fucking good shit. Good shit.
Oh, yeah. No, what did I tell you? Stephen King is the greatest short story author, and his books are. I don't have to say, they're good. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But, right, there's only like 1,000 of them. But, his short stories,
each one a million pages.
What is that? I think Night Shift was the name of the book.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody writes a short story like him, right? And the reason I say it's so hard is, in a book you get hundreds and hundreds of pages to develop characters and build conflict and resolve it. And then in a short story, you get like, 10, 20 pages, right? And you got to do everything you do in a book, but in there and not make it seem rushed. And man, boy, he is the master at that. He really is. His short stories are awesome.
And he pushes out a lot every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The Shining is my favorite ghost story ever. Is The Shining.
He's got so many greats.
A wee lad.
Yeah,
and I just loved it. Yeah.
I guess this would apply to story writing as well. But there's a historic quote. I forget who said it, but somebody had said they wrote like this really really long letter to someone, and they ended it with, "I would have wrote it shorter, but I didn't have enough time."
No, that's good. That's good, man. When you're writing, a couple of things you do for marketing and for publishing is you come up with a log line, right? One little line that kind of tells what your book is, your entire book, and you do a little, a paragraph description. Man, I do book editing as well, and I get my clients come in. That's like the hardest part for them, right? They'll bring me,
Yes.
like 3 paragraphs to put on the back of the cover to describe it. I'm like, man, they haven't even gotten in the book you're boring them, right? Bring that down to 1 paragraph. And the shorter you write, the more brief you're trying to be, because you're trying to put out the same amount of information, but in a much more competitive. It's like Twitter, right? The difference between Twitter and Facebook, really.
Yes.
You've got the. It's hard to learn to use Twitter after you've used something like Facebook, because it's so rigid about what you can and how much you can put there. It's very hard when I post stuff on Twitter. They made it a little bit better now, but
they did add more.
It's kind
but
of the same thing.
Like you said though, on Facebook, when I see like a 3-page paragraph, I'm like, I just can't. I can't read this long ass post.
Right.
I can read 20 words. I can do Twitter.
Does.
I can do Twitter. 20 words,
20
that's
characters.
it. Yeah, I tell you, I have characters. Yeah, no. Fuck. You lost me. Christopher, are you moving to Panama?
I am. How'd you know? Oh, that's right. I told you earlier.
Yeah, you did mention that.
I am. My wife and I, we've been planning this for years. We started talking about retirement, and I'll try to make this short because I don't want to bore you with my retirement, but we started talking about retiring. I wanted to retire kind of young, 59, 60.
Yeah.
And we just realized we couldn't, right?
Yes.
And even though we've been very frugal with our money, right? We save, we do investments and stuff. So we don't have debt. We're set up pretty good for it. And it's like, wow, man, what do you mean we can't retire? And, it comes down to healthcare. Right? If you try to retire before you can get Medicare, man, healthcare will kill you. And I think it was my wife she used to watch that House Hunters International, and, we kept noticing these houses on the beach for like, $160,000. And so we started looking into it, and we looked all over the world, and Panama keeps coming up as the #1 retirement place for expats. Right. So yeah, we're finally getting to do it. We are moving probably around June, and she's going to go ahead and she's going to retire and kind of work on some other stuff and get us used to living in Panama. And I'm probably going to work another year or 2 and then just retire and write full time. So then hopefully I will put out a book a year at that point.
I have heard that. Like, you could live like a king down there, and it's gorgeous country. And the only thing I've heard is the biggest, adjustment is learning to slow down. Like, a trip to the bank is like a whole day down there, where like up here, you want to go and be out of there in like 15 minutes. But down there, you go to the bank, that's your whole day. Like, it's a slower pace of life, but I heard once you get used to it, it's amazing.
No, absolutely. So they call that mañana time, and that's the time that Panama runs on. And example, my wife and I went into a restaurant, and the guy was there. He saw us come in, he smiled and he waved. He was on his phone. And I think it was like a good 10, 15 minutes before he's sitting like, 5 feet away from us, right? And then eventually he finally got bored with his phone and came over and took our order, right? And you can't, if you're not used to that, you kind of lose your shit, right? And that was fast, right? And you're like, whoa, what's this guy sitting right here? He's on his phone. But you can't do that in Panama.
Yeah, that's how right? I'd be like, give me a seat.
Very relaxed, very mellow.
Yeah.
I visited there during the campaign, the first election between Trump and Clinton. So during that time, that's when the last time I visited there.
And man,
it was so nice. You're over here, and everything's so chaotic, and everybody's yelling and angry at each other. And you go there, nobody's talking politics, right? Nobody's doing anything. They're drinking coffee, right? It's a very nice, different, laid-back feeling.
Yes.
And about the cost, we figured out my wife and I can live there for about $30,000 a year in Panama, right?
Yeah.
So, if people kind of are able to look outside the box and you don't have anything really tying you hard down here, then look at it. Maybe you can do an early retirement. It's take a look at it, definitely.
Like you said, what are you looking at in the States now? At least 65 to retirement, like at least.
Oh yeah, so I would not be able to retire. I think 62 is when you can start. That's like the earliest you can draw Social Security. And is that
Yes.
Oh, you might be right. Medicaid, I think, is later than Social Security. So it might be 64 or 65, right?
I
And
know
you've
you
got
still
to,
don't
because
make as much.
what else are you doing for? Right.
The earlier
the
you
thing is,
go, the less you make. Like, if you could work till 70, you're better off.
Yeah, well, that's what they say, right? But here's the thing, man. I'm amazed I made it to 50. I'm not so certain I'll make it to 70, right?
Right.
And I'd rather get my money, for a couple of years before, while I can still use it, right?
And
'Cause
like,
it's 70.
when you're 70, you're already whatever. At least be able to enjoy some years before you get to that point. I feel like.
No,
if you can.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So so I like Social Security. I'll be taking as soon as it's available. Thank you. And but yeah, that was the big problem with healthcare, right? Example: a friend of mine had to get an X-ray, emergency X-ray, in Panama at the hospital, and the hospital visit cost him $4. And the X-ray cost them 16, right? And
Wow.
It's not like they're crappy doctors. I know people think that. Oh, they're bad. They're not bad doctors. They all come here to learn.
Yeah.
And
just the price. That's
they're
phenomenally,
poor people.
Phenomenal. Phenomenally great. Like, yeah, I thought you were gonna say a couple hundred, which is still cheap for that kind of a thing
No,
at a hospital here.
No, and it makes all the difference in the world, right? It's like I keep saying, I hope I don't sound condescending, but I keep saying the American dream's still available, just not necessarily in America, right? Not at this point. Till we fix some things.
Wow. That's amazing. Christopher.
Politics with Robin.
Yeah, politics life, retirement. We got it. We're planning it all out, Christopher. We got it. We got everything for everybody. What do you know what your next book is going to be, Christopher?
So my next book is not going to be one of these. I wanted to get a couple of these series out because, again, if you self-publish, it's great. If you have a series out, right? Somebody buys your book and likes it. Thought is they'll buy to your other books in the same series, right? So I wanted to get a couple of those out. But now that it is, you get boring. You don't, but my stuff gets boring, right? If I have to continually write the same thing over and over again, same characters, eventually you get bored. And so I'm going to split off and just kind of do one of those Sam books every other book. My next one. The working title is Gone, and it's about it's actually kind of an apocalyptic type thriller, right? Not as much comedy as my other one. And my wife and I were watching a documentary one day about spiders. And we hated spiders, we'd kill spiders, and then we read, and something stuck with me from this thing. It's that spiders eat the world population's weight in insects every year, right? Isn't that crazy? The world population's weight in insects they eat every year.
I've always heard they eat a lot, but I've never heard that stat. That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I kept thinking about it. And after that, I'm like, okay, now we got a deal. You guys stay up in the corners and I'll let you live.
Yeah.
And but I never stopped thinking about that. And then one day, it just suddenly, this thought, I was probably in the shower, this thought just popped into my head that went, what if all the spiders suddenly disappeared, right? What would happen? And so that was kind of the birth of this novel, and it takes place over 5 years. And the first year is about where, we don't know why when you start, but about all these spiders have died, right? Like all on the same day, mostly. And it's kind of about, okay, we got to, they know the food chain is screwed, right? If spiders suddenly were gone, the food chain is screwed up, and the insects would take over. And that's kind of where this heads, right? And I've just started outlining it. Like I say, I always take a Minecraft break after publishing a book.
Got to beat the Enderman.
Right, exactly. But it's kind of that's in the vein that I think that's going to be the next next one.
Nice.
Should be fun.
Spiders are like the one insect that I'm okay with. I hate any other insect, but spiders digging that. I got a web right there.
I don't like
my buddy.
I don't like any insects. Like you said though, if it's up in the corner, if it's not crawling on me, if it doesn't have a hourglass on its back, go do some spider shit.
I like those daddy long legs, right?
Yeah,
I let
they're
them
cool.
walk. I mean, they're kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, those and I guess praying mantises would be the other.
I do. I love a praying mantis.
like,
That's one thing I
insect.
would like. That thing is like crazy.
Those guys got attitude.
Right.
You know? And you get arrested too. I mean,
Yes.
it's like illegal to
Yeah.
molest
Yeah.
to molest a praying man. What did even happen? Was that a religious right thing?
molesting
Right?
any-
Oh, they're persecuting our insects now. What is that about?
Oh shit. That's great, Christopher. We have to wrap this up.
Yeah, go
We
ahead.
have to
Let's go.
wrap it up, dude. But it's been a blast talking to you, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I always love getting with you guys.
Absolutely.
You're awesome. A lot of fun.
You too. Where can everybody find you?
So, Facebook, right? Twitter. You can always find me by my last name, Minori. I've got a webpage, minorjoystudios.com. And I've always got stuff about my books. And you can also go to TexasChainsawMusical.com. And you can subscribe to my newsletter there, or whatever, man. I'm always willing to say hi to people, right? Anybody wants to join my page or whatever. I like to learn things about new people. You might wind up in one of my books.
I would love
That'd
that.
be cool.
We could be like the radio show in hell.
Yeah.
We could be the entertainment.
That's right.
Yeah.
We probably are.
That's right.
Probably.
Might be some fan fiction, right? Like I'll make you fuck Captain Kirk or something. That's what it'll be.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Christopher. Thank you so much for talking to us, man.
All right, yeah, man. It's been great talking to you guys again, and y'all have a good day.
You
too,
too,
Chris.
man.
Bye.
See ya.
All right.